Um, I've got actually two questions. One is when I started to process a few months ago, every time I was crying because my law of attraction showed me something, or I was intellectually feeling something. And these days, sometimes I cry. I even wake up and I just want to cry, or things like that, and I don't really know why. So it's actually, I feel it's not wrong, so I just cry and I'm fine after a while.
Very good. It's very good.
That's my question is, I am going somewhere when I cry when I don't know why I'm crying.
Yes.
Or am I don't know, if I'm really dealing with something or not.
Well, when you're crying, even if you don't know what you're crying about, what's actually happening is causal emotion is allowed to flow in you without judgment of what it's about. And that's a very good sign that you're actually allowing your emotion to flow. That's a very positive sign. A child does that, and it's great when you do that.
That's the way I feel sometimes. I wake up and I'm like, as usual, it's okay. And I'm like, no, it's not okay. And I just cry.
Yeah.
And it's just a bit weird because I don't have a clue what's happening.
Yeah, and the key is to not try to have a clue what's happening.
Okay. And my second question was, I find it's really hard to connect with myself because the first thing is I don't really know who I am anymore. But then during the day, I be with people and suddenly I've got the feeling, right, I got disconnected again. So I don't want to be with people again. I just want to be on my own. Mm-hmm. So more and more I just want to be alone, but I don't know if that's kind of avoiding maybe some feelings or if that's good just to take the time to be on my own and try to connect with what I feel. Is like, I don't really...
Let's sort of describe it. So here's yourself. Sorry about the diagram. It's not really what you look like, is it? No. But there's you. And what you're doing is you're in a connected space. So in a connected space, initially, what's happening is all of your emotion is flowing straight through you. So when you feel like crying, you cry. When you feel like laughing, you laugh. When you feel like, jumping around, you jump around. You don't shut anything down. It's just like a child. Don't shut anything down. Now, in that connected space, what happens is your environment will judge you or whatever, and that'll cause you to want to block it at some point. There'll be a fear come up in you or some kind of anger or other emotion, but always caused through this system of reward punishment that finishes up creating a blocking emotion inside of you. And in that space, you no longer feel connected to yourself in that place. Now, when you're no longer connected to yourself, you are also no longer connected to anyone in your environment, really. From that moment on, every interaction you're having with every single person, including yourself, is fake.
Okay,
and that's what you feel. You feel that disconnected feeling, right?
It's like everything is flat. Like if I'm with someone, even at work or at home, sometimes I just feel like, oh, I'm here, but actually I just want to be alone. Yes. So sometimes it's still really hard to tell myself, then go and lay down in your bed and be on your, by yourself. More and more I'm able to do it. But then I'm thinking, that's going to be always like this, like being on your own because you actually feel better just to connect with yourself. Or one day are we
the judgment kicks in. The judgment's now kicking in. You're now judging being by yourself as, that's antisocial. What are other people going to think of me doing this, withdrawing all the time, all those kind of things. What will happen initially is you'll need to spend quite a lot of time alone in order to connect to yourself emotionally. Just to give an example in my own life, I took Mary down and we visited at my accountant. My accountant has known me for about probably 12 years now. Right? And so he saw me before all of this emotional processing began, and he's seen me afterwards. And what he noticed was about 6 years ago, when I really come face to face with all of the Jesus type emotions, I spent long periods of my life without talking to anybody and by myself. And everybody around me, including my business friends and business partners and all those things that I had at the time, got very freaked out about that. And they'd go along to my accountant. And I'd tell my accountant that something's going on with AJ, I don't know what's with him anymore. He's just withdrawn from everybody, which is not the case. I didn't withdraw from everybody. I just knew that it was impossible for me to discuss these emotions with anybody I knew without getting judgment. And therefore, impossible for me to feel these emotions in their presence. Does that make sense? So what I did was I stepped back and felt those emotions myself. Now, everyone around me at the time even spoke to my own accountant about what I was doing. Does that make sense? Because they become concerned and they become, you know, what's he doing now and so forth. And all that is just judgment about me spending time alone in order to deal with something. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Now, if they understood that if I wasn't connected to myself, how could I be connected to them? They'd say, go for it. Be alone for as long as it takes for you to get connected to yourself again. Now, when you get connected to yourself again, what will happen is you'll feel like you can be yourself more and more when you're with other people. So the problem for most of us is that we're with other people when we start, but we're with other people in a very disconnected way. We're with other people in a very addictive way too. So we're quite addicted to the emotions we get from them. They're addicted to the emotions they give us and so forth. And we're in this really codependent type relationship. Now, when we step back from that and step out of that relationship, the people around us generally will judge us, and we'll probably have quite a lot of time that we need to have alone in order to reconnect with who am I really? What's really going on for me? What's the feeling I need to feel here? What's the emotion I'm feeling? And after a while, you get so used to feeling your own emotions when you're by yourself, you then start, automatically this happens, by the way, you feel like you're reintroducing yourself to society almost, right? And what happens is you start being yourself in front of other people. And then whenever you can't do that, you withdraw a little again and get yourself back again, and then you're back in front of other people again and so forth. And what you finish up doing is eventually it cycles. Like you're with the people, you get triggered with something, disconnect, so you get back away, you feel the emotion, reconnect, and then I'm with people again, and so forth. And then after a while what happens is through your own development is you'll be able to stay connected with yourself fully no matter who you're with and what environment you're in. Even if you're being tortured, you will stay in that place with yourself. Even if you're being laughed at, ridiculed, whatever, you will stay in that place with yourself. And that's really a strong place of self-love when you're in that place. Initially, it takes a lot of processing emotionally to get from the place where you were before to that place. And so don't be afraid about the process. Don't judge yourself for withdrawing to deal with something.
Thank you.
Yep.